Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder to a, I would say, semi-tank review on the 2S-3M, which is a 6.3 Soviet tank destroyer, but it's more like an artillery piece. And it's fun. It's basically like you take a KV-2 and heavily modernize it, so that it can punch above its weight. And everything that has a 6-inch howitzer is always good for a derp and a punch in the face, the Soviet style. But it's not as absurd as the Bkan, which I showed you in the last tank review. It's a bit more traditional, I'd say, and as you can see, it has much more variety with the ammunition types. Now let's first talk about the armor, because it's quickly talked about. From the side, both the hull and the turret is only 15mm, so you can kill the crew inside with heavy machine guns, and any sort of AA can punch through easily. And from the front, well, it's 30mm on the turret front, which is heavy machine gun proof, and the lower glacis is 30 and 20, and the upper glacis is heavily angled, but because it's only 15mm, in theory it can get overmatched, but you know, Soviet style armor. Anyway, that was the armor. The rest of the statistics in comparison shall be delivered now with the comparison Excel spreadsheet. So the first comparison, as it is tradition, shall be the mobility, and in this we can see that the Bkan 1C has a stronger engine, but the 2S-3M is only half the weight, so we have 19.3 horsepower to ton ratio. So it's rare to see something that large move around that quickly and then have that hitting power. That is really great, and it makes all the difference, and so you can overcome some other issues more comfortably, I'd say. The top speed is also significantly better. We have 60 instead of 30 kilometers per hour, and in reverse it's not as much, but still manageable with -14, and you have no neutral steering, but the raw grunt of the engine will overcome some of the turning aspects. Now let's talk about the business end of the 2S-3M, and that is the 152mm 2A33 howitzer with 46 rounds of ammunition, and so you can fire basically non-stop throughout the entire battle. So this is where it's really the difference to the Bkan 1C. The reload of 13.3 is rather hefty, but not that bad for an artillery piece per se. It's just not as extreme in both ways than the Bkan. The turret rotation speed with 10 degrees per second, yeah, in close quarters that's really not that great, but it's still okay-ish if you just get into the mindset. Oof, that was nasty. The gun depression is twice as good as the Bkan, and so you can use more spots, and because you are a howitzer, you have a bit more of a lobbing, plunging fire characteristic. So that's still okay. And 60 degrees of gun elevation. Funnily enough, I didn't shoot down any aircraft despite trying, unlike with the Bkan where I just got 2 or 3 kills. The elevation speed is still better than average with 5.5 degrees per second, but not as good as the Bkan 1C. And your firing arc of the turret is 180 degrees to each direction, so it's 360 basically. So you can see it's a bit more conventional, not as crazy in some aspect than the Bkan 1C, but a bit of a more of a endurance confrontation warrior rather than the go in just and derp everybody's faces at once. But it's really the ammunition where the 2S-3M really convinces, because it has the most variety of them, and while I show here only the best HE, there is also a stock HE, which is the OF 540 with 49mm of penetration, and while that is already pretty good with a muzzle velocity of 655 meters per second, some armor plating and deck plating might resist it. Funnily enough, as a tier 1 upgrade, you get the BP 540 heat round with 680 meters per second muzzle velocity and 250mm of penetration, which you can punch through basically the majority of armor, even from the front, that you come across, but the post-penetration damage effect leaves things to be desired for such a characteristical howitzer, I'd say. and it is just in special occasions useful. Actually, I have never come across the situation where this shell would have been useful for me. The BR540B APHE BC round has a muzzle velocity of 600 meters per second and therefore only 166 millimeters of penetration. There are a lot of Soviet tanks at this battle rating that with their normal main caliber AP have significantly better gun handling characteristics, higher rate of fire, and more penetration. While the bursting charge is almost guaranteed a one-shot machine with over 1 kilogram of TNT equivalent bursting mass, again, I basically never used it. Then we have the 3OF25PF as a tier 4 upgrade, which is also a proximity fuse shell. But just like with the Bkan 1C, it's rather useless. It's not thought to perform versus aircraft, it would just not trigger. So it's exploding on the ground, and it even denies you very often a direct hit, as then it prematurely detonates in the vicinity of the ground. So what I would go for is the tier 3 upgrade, the 3OF25 high explosive shell. That's the upgraded one. Also 655 meters per second muzzle velocity, but 62 millimeters of penetration at any distance versus any angle, and this is the shell that I almost exclusively used. It's just what you hit the turret faces with and then splash down, and it's just so satisfying. It's KV2 all over again. The glorious Soviet super special Derp days are back in this machine. So that is really the fun factor, the mobility combined with just the derp. Yes, there are so many tanks in the game already that can deliver this, but I think that this machine has kind of the special Soviet flavor. I don't know really why, because very often I had those moments where I just thought, oh, I would miss while the shell was still traveling, and then it still hit the pixel of the enemy tank and just blew it up. But yeah, there you just could see the disadvantage of high explosive. It prematurely detonates on everything, really on everything. While heat shells sometimes can go through a bush or a fence, you know, some of the weird Gaijin hitboxes, this one, the high explosive, just prematurely detonates and then that's it. Also, there is a fun thing with the sound. Whereas it's a more or less normal gun sound in the gunner's view, in third person it has really this arty sound. After a few split moments you get this whistling sound, which is really cool, but it's only in third person or when you are next to one of those tanks firing. So this gameplay here is a kill compilation of 10 kills that I had with this machine, and I have to say it would not have been possible with the Bkan because of the mobility and also the ammunition capacity and also the fact that you have a turret. So you can see where I traveled all across the map, and now I'm firing into the flank or the center of the enemy team from the center of the map, and I just love that you have all the bushes to work with. I personally love maps like Normandy and Fields of Normandy. Maybe I'm a weird one, but I just love the map when it works. When one of the caps is on the side, you just have so much room to maneuver, to look around, to prepare ambushes and get away with it. That is really what this artillery is so much better suited than a lot of the other artillery pieces. And here, yeah, I almost died to the 50 cal of this Jumbo, I think. And he gave me the chance to reload. And even though it's hefty, it's not as hefty as, an IS-2. No, it was not a Jumbo, just an M4A2. Anyway, so you basically have more firepower than an IS-2 when it comes to the high explosive shell, and a shorter reload. I'll take this any day of the week, and when people give you broadside in their land battleships, just like this Jagdpanther, I'll take that shot. And again, people are just completely oblivious to you, and it's so satisfying. It's so much fun, and to be honest, I could do this 24/7. this is one of those machines that I personally, if you're not really such a top tier fan and you are looking for something new and exciting at lower tiers, this is it. Also because you can get away with stuff like this. So turret ring jammed, there is an SPA, and you just could pull this off with a Soviet beast, right? So yeah, 8 kills alone with that. And lobbing those shells, just the best thing ever. So again, if you're looking for something exciting, fun, and what would be hilarious in any sort of squad gameplay, this is it. The Soviet 2S 3M at 6.3. You're welcome. And that's it for me today. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this kind of different tank review. If so, give it a like, and why not hit the bell and subscribe if you want to see more. And we'll see each other on the waves, in the skies, and on the battlefields of War Thunder.